Because number one, I had been groomed for this moment in time. And really my lessons began when I was a child because my uncle was a major antique dealer back east. And so he taught me the patterns of how hard assets actually flow from undervaluation to fair valuation to undervaluation, constantly like that. And when I was about 10 years old, and I didn't even realize how influential this was, but when I was 10 years old, my parents and I were at his house. And he said, come here, I want to show you something. And he took us in a back bedroom where he had 2 tall floor safes. And he opened the doors of those safes and he said, if anything should happen to me, your Aunt Bertie will be well taken care of for the rest of her life because of what's in these safes. So naturally, I turned around and looked. And what he had in there were all $20 pre-1933 $20 gold coins. So I didn't really understand the significance of it at 10 years old, but knowing what I know now, I would guess he had a minimum of 3,000 ounces. This would have been in 1964, when it was illegal in the US to hold more than 5 ounces of gold any other way than the way that he was holding it. So it was the kind of gold that not only could he hold, but he could actually use it. Well, you know, everything starts slowly, right? And they start the lie and then they get you to believe the lie. So you have to also keep in mind that from 1913, when the Federal Reserve was first legalized, that they had 1 ounce, well, here it is, a 1 ounce gold coin.
Show that to the camera right there, 1 ounce
there
gold
you go,
coin.
1 ounce gold coin. As well as a $20 gold certificate. And then magically also Federal Reserve notes, which were actually corporate debt converted into the new money. And they were all allowed to operate in the system at the same time, at the same stated level of purchasing power. So the public got used to it for 20 years, right? 1913 to 1933.
You adapt the population to it slowly, yeah. Over generations, people start forgetting.
Exactly, exactly. So when they took the gold out of the system, which really they were taking the public's power away.
Of course, it's a hidden tax. It's asset confiscation.
Absolutely. But it was also setting up to go on to the pure debt-based system. Because if they were used to using all 3 things as $20, when they took the gold and the gold certificates away, they still had those $20 Federal Reserve notes. So the population thought nothing had changed, when in reality,
everything changed.
Everything did.
Yeah.
And what did that actually do? Because that's what the public needs to understand, which is the public had power. If you didn't like what the central bank or the government was doing, you'd go in with the bill and come out with the gold. And what gold really does in the monetary system is it creates or forces fiscal responsibility.
Of course, it puts restraints on government.
Exactly.
Now, because we have limited time, I would love for somebody like you to explain exactly why is gold money? Because that's something important. I think people do not understand today what money is. So unit of account, medium of exchange, and storage of value. What does that mean, and why has gold, over thousands of years, retained these 3 fundamental features?
There's actually a one more, and that's a long-term store of value. So the first one is about getting fairly paid for your labor today. And then that long-term store of value is whenever you go to use that money, it has the same purchasing power as it did for the labor that originally created it. And it's really quite simple, because what we're talking about is sound money, which is above all governments and central banks to their ability to inflate away. And it's real simple. Gold and silver both are used in every single sector of the global economy. So they have the broadest base of functionality and the broadest base of demand. Where is fiat or government debt-based currency used? One place. Where is cryptocurrency used? One place. So if you're going into a knife fight like you did in Venezuela, do you want something that has one level of demand, or do you want something that has a massive level of demand? This is your financial bazooka. No, and that's because, and really it is gold. Gold is the primary currency metal, and that's because it's indestructible. And I want you to think, I want everybody to think about this actually, because it takes labor and energy to pull this out of the ground and refine it. But then that energy is stored. And because gold is indestructible in any form at all, it can be melted down and used again in every single sector of the global economy. And so this has infinite value because this energy is stored for use over and over and over and over again.
Yes. No, 100%. I think this is a very powerful sentiment. And I think throughout history, many tycoons have acknowledged this. Isn't there a famous quote, I'm pretty sure you know this better than I do, from JP Morgan? Didn't he say something like, gold is money, dollar is debt, or currency is debt, something like that?
All other, yes, that is pretty close to what he said, that only gold is money, everything else is credit.
Ah, there you go.
Right?
Okay.
Everything else is credit. And the Bank for International Settlements, which of course is the central banker's central bank, has said only gold has zero, is the only financial asset that has zero counterparty risk.
Interesting.
Right? Well, if it's credit, then that means it's a contract. Wow, I have lots of thoughts on that. But number one, I started watching Bitcoin when it was about $7 a coin. So I've been watching this evolution. I do not think that it's an accident that Bitcoin came out to the public in January of 2009 and quantitative easing. So all that free massive amount of money came out in March of 2009. And I've also read the 1996 NSA white paper. So that's an American government agency.
National Security Agency.
Exactly. On how to make a mint. And if you go in, I mean, it's open source, you can go in and read it, and you're gonna find a lot of similarities. So there was, frankly, no doubt in my mind that in 2008, when they let Shearson go out, that the system had died. And it was put on life support to get the new system ready. And the new system was already, I mean, this isn't something that was magical. That's why Bitcoin came out in January of 2009, because let me ask you, how much money do you think would have gone into this? Since you're absolutely right, there's the same fundamental belief, but how much more money would have gone into this?
Yeah, gold would have been $30,000 an ounce or something, yeah.
Oh, well, or yeah, God knows what it would be.
Yeah, but
because you would have
levels,
had,
yeah.
Exactly. And actually, that's only in terms of dollars. We should talk about fundamental value another time. So I believe that Bitcoin was a Trojan horse and is a Trojan horse.
Okay.
To get people comfortable, get enough adoption to then go into this next surveillance economy.